So, welcome to the National Parks Adventure Crossing America. This is in partnership with our nonprofit, Expeditions in Education, and also the National Park Foundation. We are very excited to connect classrooms around the country. In the last 2 months, we have connected about 50,000 students within 6 different events, with today being number 6. So, we're really excited to have you here today. As you may know, if you've been here before, we really work to connect stories. So we're asking folks to scrapbook if they will. So let me show you what my scrapbook looks like. So I'm just starting my one for today, and we're going to be at Assateague Island National Seashore. So as we begin thinking about what we want to add to our scrapbook page, I encourage you just to have a piece of paper near you where you can take notes. And as we talk about different things like geography and science and stories and STEM, you just add those sections to your paper, and then you can go back later and you can add things like envelopes and paper and timelines. This is one of mine that I started with Homestead National Historical Park back in November. So I think we're ready, so let's get started. Assateague Island National Seashore is in Berlin, Maryland, not to be confused with Berlin, Germany, which I said several times while we were at our actual event, but I had it corrected. Winston Churchill said, "There's something about the outside of a horse that is good for the inside of a man." And he loved and appreciated horses. And we know that a big part of Assateague Island National Seashore has to do with the wild horses that live there. Now, notice that I'm saying horses. It's commonly people say that they're wild ponies, but they have been tested and they are horses. So let's learn a little bit more about them. So in our journey today, we're going to be doing some scrapbooking. So we're going to scrapbook the geography, the science, the stories, and the STEM behind this particular park. We're going to start with, where are we today? Well, we've already talked about being in Berlin, Maryland. So if you'll notice on the map, that's going to be all the way over on the East Coast, and it is denoted in white. And if you look at the other map that's in the middle of the page, this is actually the counties that make up Maryland. So if you'll notice, we are on the seashore, so we're going to be close to the water. We're going to talk a little bit about science today. So if you want to take some notes, this might be where you start. So this interesting creature lives at the Assateague Island National Seashore, and this is called a horseshoe crab. Now, this is a large marine arthropod, and it has this horseshoe domed shape shell. It also has a very long tail, a spine, and 10 legs. And this is the way it's looked for a very long time. If you walk out on the shore of Assateague National Seashore, you're going to see this little guy. Our next fun animal is a ghost crab. Now, I love this, even though I don't think I would want the ghost crabs to come too close to me. They're very interesting. So if you find them, they're going to be a very pale yellow. They live in a burrow in the sand, and they live above the high water mark. Every night they go down to the sea to feed, and those are called the ghost crabs. Our next animal are the snow geese. Now, the snow geese are goose that actually breed up in Arctic Canada and Greenland, and then they migrate down. They have a very white plumage, and they have black wing tips, so they're very easy to find and spot. This picture or the video that you're actually seeing is during a migration season. So there's birds absolutely everywhere. So we've had the horseshoe crab and the ghost crab, which have some similarities. Then we have these snow geese, which is going to be in a different category. And the next thing I want to share with you is the summer flounder. So This species of fish gets its common name from its tendency to migrate to nearshore waters during the spring and summer and to offshore waters during the fall and winter. We also have some very cool plants there. Now, in just a moment, we're going to meet with one of our rangers, and he can tell you there is many more animals and lots more plants there. But these are the ones that I've found very interesting. This is called a sea beech amaranth. So it's an annual plant that can be found along the Atlantic coast barrier beaches. We also read that it was threatened. So this is on the list of threatened species, and it was put on that list in April of 1993. Now, that's not endangered yet, and it's not extinct, but it's threatened. People are maybe taking them, or they're just losing their grip in the sand, but they're threatened. So we want to make sure that we take care of those. At any time when you're at a national park site, remember, what you see there has to stay there. The only thing you can take away are photographs and memories. And then our last thing that I'd like to share with you before we get started in our stories is this Seaside Golden Rod. So this is a very vigorous, showy goldenrod, which means it's very hardy, it's very bright, and you can find this not only at Assateague Island National Seashore, but all up and down the eastern and Gulf Coast of North America. So if you were counting, that is 2 crabs, 1 bird, 1 fish, and then 2 plants. Those can be opportunities for you to write those into your journals or use those in your scrapbook. When we went to Assateague Island National Seashore, as you probably saw in the video, it was extremely cold. And we met 3 rangers. We met Ranger Anastasia, Ranger Liz, and Ranger Matt. We are very lucky that Ranger Matt joined us today. So Ranger Matt, if you can unmute and give a wave out to our students watching today and those that will be watching on the video. And just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in the last few days here at Assateague Island National Seashore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Assateague Island National Seashore. For the last couple of days, we have actually been going through our hiring process. So applicants have been submitting their resumes, and we have been reviewing them and trying to get them in for the spring so we can get ready for our education programs where we allow schools to come on field trips and we take them out onto the island and we do a bunch of cool activities. And then for the summer, we do a lot of programs. We're going to be going out. We're going to be kayaking and all kinds of fun things like that. So it's been pretty busy here at Assateague Island.
So what's the weather like today, Matt? I know that when we were there in January, it was actually sleeting.
Yeah, so we did have a couple of days of warm weather, which felt like spring was right around the corner. But next thing you know, the winds changed and it's cold again, and there's a mist outside. So I'm sure the horses are trying to find some cover and trying to stay warm out there today.
Well, we know that we love Assateague Island National Seashore for all of the different things we can find, but I'm going to be honest, a lot of us are here for the horses. So tell us just a little bit more about the horses.
Yeah, so the horses are completely wild. They are roaming and grazing all day long. They're kind of just like a deer, constantly moving, constantly grazing. They only take like power naps typically, so they hardly ever sleep. As they're roaming around, they're typically on the marsh area, like which is on the bay side, and that's where a lot of their food sources are. And they're going to be eating a lot of the grasses out there, and they also like poison ivy. Horses love poison ivy. Another reason not to touch the horses. They are wild, but they are very used to people. We do have a very high visitation rate here. Last year, we had 2.8 million people come visit the National Seashore. And because of that, the horses get used to people. And unfortunately, people sometimes get a little close. And as they get used to them, some problems can occur. Because they are wild, you never know what a wild animal will do. They can sometimes get spooked, which would make them want to run and charge, or they might be trying to defend their horses and their band. And a band is a group of horses. And horses will kick and they will bite. So it's very important, if you do come to Assateague National Seashore, that you do stay 40 feet away, which is almost the length of a school bus, and then no touching or feeding the horses. Any human food can make a horse potentially sick, and because they are wild and they're used to their normal diet, it could cause some digestive issues.
So we covered this on the video, but let me just ask you again. As of today, how many horses, wild horses that is, do you have at Assateague Island?
So we have a ranger that goes out and basically keeps a detailed record of every single horse that is out there. So it's kind of like when you go to the dentist and they pull up your records there, it will tell exactly who you are. Well, we have a record of every single horse. And as of the last counting, we had 82 horses.
And we asked you this before, but come on, you have to have one. What's your favorite one?
Oh man. So as a park ranger, we like to try to remain neutral and treat all our animals equally. There is a horse out there though that does tend to be a little bit of a troublemaker, and we as rangers, we have a nickname for that horse. We call the horse Chip, which is a stallion, and we call him Chip because he's a chip off the old block, meaning he kind of he took on the behaviors of his father.
Right. Well, I love that you didn't choose favorites, just like a parent. We love them all. But we also know that the stories that come from Assateague Island are really all about the horses. So let's keep going and learn just a little bit more. We know that everyone has a story to tell, and we tell this every time we have one of these adventures or events together. You could be a writer. Actually, everyone is a writer. Sometimes you write down what you think. Sometimes it just happens that you write it in your hearts. But we know that writing stories and keeping stories are extremely important because we need to remember what we are doing for future generations. So today, I thought it would be nice if we let the horses tell the story. So we're going to do one of our strategies called What Do You See? What do you know? What do you wonder? In any order that you would like to do it, we're going to show you about 2 minutes of the horses of Assateague Island National Seashore. As you're watching them, I want you to write down things that you feel, things that you know, things that you have questions about. It could be a list of adjectives, it could be a list of adverbs, it could be a list of nouns. You get it. We're just writing down words that make us feel after we watch this video. So as we watch, write down your thoughts. Here we go. So, did you write anything down? I wrote down a huge list. I had ideas about how those horses made me feel. I even named a few of them as I went through it. Um, I would have a hard time. Ranger Matt says that he can't choose his favorite on camera, but I would have to choose because I just saw some beautiful little foals and just got real excited. With my words, I could actually create a story or a song, if you will. Today's STEM challenge is all about learning about life on land, our human impact, and responsible consumption and production. So, your task is to research the national seashore of Assateague Island. We want to see how we can get humans and horses to behave and interact together. So, the horses are there, they know we're there, but we have to remember they are wild. I hope that you've talked about some ideas on how humans can lessen their negative impact. So, could you create some new types of food storage that will protect the food and the horses? Ranger Matt told us when we were there that you can bring food into the park. Like they want you to have food and eat lunch, and they have picnic shelters for that purpose. But how are you going to store that food? Let's take a quick video at how a cooler works, and then we're going to work on creating our own food storage.
Stay cold. Portable coolers stay cold because of insulation, ice, and technique. Insulation lines the inside of your cooler and slows down a process called convection. This is when hot air travels around a space and increases the temperature. This slowing of warm air also halts thermal conduction, heat spreading from one object to another in close proximity. But insulation alone is not enough. Enter a cooler's best friend, ice. And different kinds of ice can keep your cooler colder for longer. Dry ice will stay cold for 18 to 24 hours. Ice cubes will stay cold for 1 to 2 days. And with a block of ice, 5 to 7 days. Okay, now that you know the science, here are a few cool tips for increasing your cooler's efficiency. Pre-chill the food and drinks you plan on packing. Stuff your cooler to the top to reduce the amount of empty space that can be filled with warm air. Freeze bottled water and store it in the empty spaces. Store your cooler out of the sun. The sun is hot. Put the ice on top. Cool air travels down, so it'll keep your cooler a lot chillier. Drain the melted ice water. It'll keep the temperature longer. Pack the essentials on top. Finally, keep the lid closed. If the lid is open, warm air is getting in. Now you not only know how a cooler works, you know how to make it work even better. And that is pretty cool.
So, our STEM challenge is all about finding ways for humans and horses to live together in harmony. Another thing is to come up maybe with a social media campaign that encourages people to stay their distance but enjoy from afar. Another thing we also talked about is there are picnic tables there where you can have your lunch. Underneath the picnic tables, they have built these storage spots where you can put in your cooler and then lock it. So you can go to the beach and enjoy or walk around and horses will not take over your food. But then the last thing is, could you design a new type of cooler? Because coolers come in all different shapes and sizes. This is one here that's a cooler backpack. Now we take this with us when we're on the road because we can carry it. Inside the cooler, we have what they were talking about with insulation. So you can see these white foam coverings. Those are insulated. So when I put my ice in there, which I have this ice pack here, and I put my food in there, I put my ice pack in there, and then I close it up, my food is going to stay cold. Hopefully, that's what we hope. So what ideas do you have for either creating new types of coolers or making sure that the horses and the humans get along? We're going to ask any students that would like to come to the camera and talk to us just a little bit about what they're going to be doing. So Steve, if you will go to let's see everybody. And kids, are there any ideas out there? Anybody that wants to raise your hand and talk about something that you could create for the park? New types of coolers. Maybe you've decided that you're going to create a social media campaign where you can actually encourage people to take care of themselves and the horses. When you're ready, if you'll just raise your hand, or teachers feel free to just unmute and let your student come up. So Miss Hall's class, we're going to start with you. I saw that hand go up. Who's going to talk first? Make sure you unmute your microphone.
Damn, real loud.
My
There
name
you
is
go.
Nora, and I was thinking in the future maybe people could work on creating a part of maybe like a car where you could install like a cooler.
Actually, inside the car?
Yeah, inside the car.
I love that.
And you
So
can keep it cold for when you have your picnic or whatever.
excellent. Is there someone else?
So my idea was kind of like Noah's, but
Real
like,
loud.
so my idea was kind of like Noah. It would go in the back of the car, like you have this thing like in the future where you can like attach the cooler thing, so it stays cool, and then you could take it off when it's a picnic.
I like that idea. That makes me think we need to reach out to people like Toyota and Subaru and Ford and see if we can share your ideas with them, because I think that would be a great feature. Obviously, we can put a cooler in the back of the car, but if we can put one back there that we can hook up to a generator that keeps it cool without ice, that would save a lot of money. Excellent ideas. Who else? Deanna? Make sure you unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just say your idea. We got other people.
So what I was thinking is we could like put a storage space on like a bicycle, so we could put coolers there and put like a shade top over it, so it could still be shaded without getting the sun on it and melting the ice inside.
I like that idea. And then we would probably think of a way to keep that locked up or away from the horses. And I'm thinking if you're going to have it locked up very well, it might be something that the horses cannot even get into. So thank you for sharing that. Was there someone else there?
I think that I should make an air mattress that you can put a cooler on that it can keep it cold for like if you go out like on a picnic on a sunny day, well, you can bring the air mattress and it won't get cold. It won't melt.
So you're doing two things. You're creating an opportunity for people to nap or sleep and then have their cooler attached to that. Thank you for sharing that.
That's it for us.
Thank you. Who else would like to share? Another classroom or same classroom to new people? I think we have some entrepreneurs here, kids that are thinking of great ideas and what they're going to be able to share. Do we have someone else? Here they come.
There.
In your cooler, you can make the cooler halved, and you can put food that the horses can eat on one side and food that you can eat on the other.
So I like that idea. I will tell you something. They encourage us at Assateague not to feed the horses because they will depend on us. But your idea, your prototype is beautiful. So outside the park, that could be something you use if you're visiting a zoo where they're going to allow you to feed the animals while you're there. So I think your idea is going to work very well. We'll just have to modify it a little bit when we use it at Assateague. Thanks for sharing. Miss Davis's class, I see your hand up. Yep, you can unmute.
He's on his way. Hang on.
I have an idea. Like you could like do multiple coolers, like one there, and there, and like a big one here in the middle.
Can you hold that just a little closer to the camera? Oh, wow. I like the different compartments there. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Miss Deanna again.
So I think like you can put like a cooler like inside like a cup, and so your ice won't melt.
Okay, so thinking about having snacks in there and making sure that they stay cool. I love the idea of how you're thinking about modifying the cooler that we already have. So as you're doing the science behind it, think about the convection and the conduction that is happening. So the conduction means it's touching something, so it's touching the ice. And the convection is the gases that are rising up. So as you think about your design, think about how that science is going to work. Thank you for sharing that. Ms. Hall's class, I see your hand up again.
If you have a
Oh boy. And we got cut off. Welcome to my life.
Ms. Hall?
We lost our link, but I can hear you. I'm seeing if we can, Nia, talk.
We can see you, so go ahead and let her speak.
Okay, keep going.
If you have a float, you could put a little cooler on the side of it, and the cold water would keep it cold.
Yes, so I want you to think about as you're building that, how are you going to keep the water cold? Is it going to be hooked to a generator? Is there going to be Freon like an air conditioner? So think about that. Miss Allen's class, did I see your hand up? And I'll come back to Miss Hall in just a moment.
Yes.
Okay. So Miss Allen, I think if you maybe turn off the sound on your LCD projector, if you're using that for just a second, I should be able to hear. I'm gonna come back to you in just a moment, Miss Allen. And Miss Deanna, you have another one? Quickly.
I'm thinking of putting a solar panel on it, that when the sun is on it, you can have the lid open, and the solar panel will make ice drop from it and to the cooler, keeping everything cold.
I love that you're thinking about global goal number 7, which is how to use renewable energy sources like solar or wind or water. So I like the way you're marrying the idea of solar power to keep your cooler cool also. Great idea. Miss Allen, did you get that to work? You can just unmute and we'll try again.
Yes. Is it working now better?
Excellent.
Okay. Your idea?
My idea is maybe like a safe. It could have a safe lock on it, so you can't get into it unless you know the code.
Okay, I like that. And even though we know that our horses at Assateague Island are smart, they're not going to know the codes. So you're thinking from a different viewpoint, which I like, that you're going to make the cooler strong enough that the food could sit somewhere, but there's no way the horse could get in it. Great idea. And you're using a little technology there.
Let her have your chair. Okay, there.
My idea was like if you're riding a horse or something and you had a cooler with it, you can have a bungee strap on the cooler while you're riding, so they didn't try to get in the cooler while you're trying to get something.
Perfect. So if you're thinking about building this for horses outside of Assateague Island, because we can't ride the ones inside Assateague Island, I think that would be something that you would probably market to an outdoor shop that really deals with horses. So excellent idea. And Miss Davis or Miss Allen, I'm going to come back to you in just one moment. So keep your person there, but we're going to run over to Miss Hall's class for just a moment.
Tonight, real quick.
So
Everybody else.
I think that we could put in a whole bunch of like boxes
with ice in them, and then the final box you put in your stuff, and then it'll keep it all cold from the sun.
So Ranger Matt, that might be a good idea, that you could install those around the park. So thanks. All right, Ms. Holt, let me give you another one. You can unmute again.
Go, Janelle.
I think that
Everybody
we
else
should
go.
use this like little box that like you could use to freeze stuff and have those shits where you could put type of food.
All right, I like that. Ms. Hall, I'm going to move over to Ms. Allen's class for just a moment.
Okay.
Ms. Allen's class,
Yes.
go ahead.
My idea is that we could have like one side for cooler and then the other side for snacks. And we could have like a lock or something on the top of it, so it would prevent the horses to get it.
I like that. And I'm all about the snacks. That sounds good. Miss Allen, we can do one more from your class, and then I'm going to tell you how I'm going to get all of these shared with us. So if you can give me one more person.
Who wants to do it? Okay, go ahead. Take your mask.
No. I'll just
Take your mask off. Tell them.
I had an idea that like you can have like a cabinet, and then like one side can be like a cooler with like with ice, and then the other one with like stuff.
Okay, that's a great idea. Thanks for sharing. And Mr. Beast's class, we're going to come to you, and then we're going to do one more from Miss Hall. So Mr. Beast's class, what is your ideas?
So my idea is that we could have a cooler with like 2 pockets inside, one you can fill up with an ice pack, like with ice bags, and the other one you can fill up with like all your food.
I like that. And that's going to be using the principle of conduction. And then Mr. Beast's class, did you have another one? You can go ahead and do one more if you'd like to.
Yeah, we got one more.
Okay.
I was thinking that you can make a cooler with 2 pockets, like she said, but one can charge your phone, and one you can put extra stuff in.
I like that. And did you say use it to charge your phone? That's an amazing idea. You're using 2 different ideas. Miss Hall, we're going to have one more from your class.
I made one that is like a water bottle that you could store stuff inside of it, but it has like spray around it that the horses don't like, but it doesn't hurt them.
Nice idea. And I like that you're thinking about the horses also, thinking about their well-being. Thanks for sharing that. So let's go back to our slides for just a moment. Teachers, we want you to share all of this with us. So we have created a flip grid. Miss Amy Pacion, if you're there, can you type this flip grid into the chat window so that the teachers can copy that and save it for another time? But this is going to be our flip grid that we ask you to share your ideas. Now, any idea you share, we want to make sure you've given us permission to share with the Rangers, because I think it will be cool for them. As Matt mentioned earlier, they're hiring brand new Rangers. So wouldn't it be cool if they could share all of those ideas? So the flipgrid.com/C6B09BBD. And if we don't get it in the chat window, teachers, if you'll just grab a quick screenshot of that so you can share with us, we would love it. We want you to know how much we appreciate you guys being part of our National Parks Adventure Crossing America. We will have new events coming up in March. We are going to be at the Casa Grande Ruins in Coolidge, Arizona. We're also going to be at Tumacacori National Monument in Tumacacori, Arizona, and San Antonio Missions in Texas. And we will send you all the information about that. So let's come back to me for just a moment. Ranger Matt, you heard some really great ideas from some kids that are probably going to make money off these ideas someday. But if they don't move into the area of entrepreneur and just making money, any final words for our students about how they can come to the park and visit and possibly work at the park in the future?
Absolutely. So thank you so much for all your wonderful ideas. I took a bunch of notes, and we actually have a horse management committee meeting tomorrow, and I might bring up some of these ideas to them. As far as being able to visit the parks, I strongly recommend going to your local parks, getting out and exploring as much as possible. There's a lot of cool opportunities out there, especially for fourth graders. If you're a fourth grader, or if you have a brother or sister who is a fourth grader can get a free pass that gets their entire family into the parks for an entire year. So it's a really cool program. Be sure to take advantage of that. And, you know, be sure to reach out to any parks, do their junior ranger programs. They're usually all online. And you can send those to the parks. You'll get a junior ranger badge. And that's a fun way to learn about the parks as well.
Thank you so much, Ranger Matt. Teachers, I do encourage you, if you've not downloaded the PDF files from national parks, individual national parks for their junior ranger program, please do that. It's got a lot of great content. If you're not sure how to connect it to your standards, reach out to me and I will help you do that. Thanks again to the National Park Foundation for their funding to allow us to visit these parks and bring these opportunities to you. Thank you to Ranger Matt for being an awesome ranger for us. And just think about this, kids. He gets to work at a place where he sees horses every single day, which I think is exciting. Thanks to Miss Amy for being my moderator. But most of all, thank you to the teachers and all the students with these wonderful ideas. We can't wait to see what you create and what you put into the Flipgrid to share. And I promise you, he's telling the truth. I love that Matt's already thinking about sharing this with the horse management team tomorrow. I think they're going to be very impressed. So if you want to, teachers, if you want to take just a moment and mute your camera and let's do a big wave. I just like to see everybody and just want to thank you again for being here. Bye, everyone. All right, we will see you next time on the National Parks Adventure Crossing America. Bye-bye.